I'll give it 100%. Let's see if you can walk the walk.
Round one. Ready, go!
Yeah.
Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Round 1. Ready, go! Excellent! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout!
力だけではあかしまへん。
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout!
もう一戦やりまひょか。
Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go! Knockout! Round four. Ready, go! Knockout! Round five. Ready, go! Knockout!
You're no match for me.
Ta! よし、行くぞ。参る。
Round one. Ready, go!
the most part, you do need to play these on the original Xbox 360, but I couldn't help myself, and so the last game, well, I'm gonna be a little selfish because I wanted to talk about it. It's digital only, but thankfully you will be able to play it on your Xbox One or newer console. With that said, let's get started.
Now is the perfect time to upgrade. Get the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Lots more storage for lots more photos. Upgrade from just $1099 and get Apple TV Plus shows and movies free for up to 3 months at Curry's.
The first game I want to talk about is called Fatal Inertia, and this is a really interesting one because it's gotten a bit of buzz lately, especially from physical Xbox 360 collectors like myself, where suddenly we're seeing the physical version of this game skyrocket in the last couple months. It's been crazy to watch. And as you can tell by this footage, it is a futuristic hover car arcade racing game that only got a digital release on the PlayStation 3, but its physical Xbox 360 version is the one that a lot of collectors have been trying to find, myself included. I don't have a physical copy of this game. I was
Round
actually kind
one.
of surprised.
Ready, go!
Because I assumed I'd always be able to find a cheap copy of it, and now that may not be the case if I do want the physical version. However, thankfully, you can pick up the digital version in the marketplace. This game feels like a mix of Wipeout and Mario Kart. You slide or drift around corners, you pick up weapons and power-ups. On the surface, this looks like yet another generic racing game.
Round
but
two.
The surprise here
Ready,
is just how solid
go!
and fun this game really is. First off, I think the game looks really good, and the level design is surprisingly nuanced. It requires you to have really good memorization of the twists and turns, but you're also going to need really quick reflexes to get around those tricky parts of the track. And I think that's a big part of the appeal here, is that this is a really decent arcade racing game, despite how
Round three.
generic the name
Ready,
is, or
go!
how kind of lame the cover is. You know, it just looked like a budget title, and maybe when they launched it probably was, but now people who have an Xbox 360, they're looking to play it. Listen, I'm all for physical game releases and having a game archive forever, but at the current prices that this game is going for lately, it would be really hard for me to recommend most people to go out and spend that amount of money. Instead,
Wow,
do what I did,
it was
snag
ridiculous.
the digital version. You know, that way you can jump in and really check out this really fun arcade racing game. It may just surprise you. Next up is a game that a lot of people will be excited to see on this list. That is the dishwasher Dead Samurai. This game got great reviews when it was originally launched, and I think looking back, it's interesting to check out because this game is known for being painfully difficult and being just a really brutal 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. But those type of games definitely have their fans. You know, when a lot of games are a little bit too simple, there is something very compelling going into a game like this where you're like determined to beat it, you know, determined to win, determined to get all the achievements. In this game, you're battling through grave sites, opera houses, city streets, and more, and you're taking on robots and ninjas and just kind of a bunch of random baddies. I like how if the enemy is close to death, you can perform an execution move to finish them off. That never gets old. But like I said, this is a very punishing game and also very rewarding if you put the work in. Probably not gonna be for everybody. You really have to be into some of the more difficult beat 'em up games. But you know, people remember this game for a reason, and if you have an Xbox 360, you're gonna make sure and want to snag it. Next up is another game I'm very excited to talk about. It is Renegade Ops. This is another really well-reviewed game that unfortunately is not backwards compatible. As you can see by this gameplay footage, at its heart it is a twin-stick shooter. This was published by Sega, and you play as a highly decorated general who basically just takes matters into his own hands to help stop a terrorist. You have 4 characters to choose from, which each of them will give you a bonus to the type of vehicle that you drive, whether it's giving you extra shields that you can activate or maybe different types of weapons to use in battle. And basically what you do is just start the mission and then you cruise around completing primary and secondary objectives in real time. And then you're taking out all of these large enemy vehicles, you're rescuing prisoners, you're doing a bunch of things as you go around this fairly large map. I love how the world is mostly open, where you can stick to the road if you want to, getting to your objectives, or you can try to find your own way through the terrain. And what's fun is that a lot of the things in the world are fully destructible. It's so cool just driving your vehicle through a building and watching it collapse. A lot of people consider this to be a spiritual successor to classic games like Jungle Strike or Desert Strike, and yeah, I can definitely see that. This is a super fun game. You're gonna get addicted to it. It's just a total blast, completely worth playing, and dare I say even a hidden gem on the Xbox 360.
Sky Glass, a TV made by Sky, perfect for an epic summer of sport. With a crystal clear 4K Ultra HD screen and a spine-tingling Dolby Atmos soundbar built in for every game, set and match. Watch it all this summer on a Sky Glass TV.
Boost your data for the full length of your contract with our £12 launch offer. Gav, we're up to good.
There were a ton of arcade shooters released at this time, and the one I want to talk about is Raystorm HD. This particular version never made it to modern consoles. It has an extra mode in here that isn't available in the more recent Rays Arcade Chronology game that came out on the PlayStation 4, the Switch, and the PC. And so for that reason, a lot of fans of this series, they recommend that you pick this up. As you see by the gameplay footage here, it is a gorgeous vertical shoot 'em up with fully 3D graphics, and it's also widescreen. So many vertical arcade shooters will only take up the center part of your TV screen, so I appreciate how this one's just nice and big and in your face. A cool feature here that I really appreciate is that you can turn on the auto fire of your missiles if you want, meaning that once you have a lock on the enemy, the missiles will automatically fire and take them out. Now, that may sound like it makes the game a little easy, but let me assure you, this game is very fast, very difficult, even with that option turned on. That extra mode adds enhanced graphics from the arcade original, plus it adds additional enemies and tougher bosses. Also, the game overall is a little bit more difficult, and they put on a different ending. However, they give you plenty of continues to help you get through it as you learn the different levels and also the enemy patterns. Another shooter I want to mention really quick that I don't believe is backwards compatible is 1942 Joint Strike. I am a massive fan of the original 1942. Playing that in the arcades, absolutely loved it. And as you see here, this is a full 3D and HD update to that game. A couple things I noticed here is that this definitely feels a little bit more responsive and also a tad easier because it gives you a health meter instead of just getting those one-hit deaths. There's also a charge attack if you hold down the fire button, so a little bit more nuance here as you're playing the game. Now personally, I love the original with its pixel art graphics, and I would say this is a pretty decent upgrade. It does look a little cheap or something. I don't know, it's hard to put my finger on. I guess I would say I don't necessarily love the new visuals, but I think they're just okay. Now for something completely different, this is Eternal Sonata. This is a fantastic RPG by the company Tri Crescendo. That's a studio behind some of those beloved Star Ocean games, Tales games, Baten Kaitos, and a ton more. This is a fairly unique RPG because it focuses on the Polish composer Frédéric Chopin, who died from tuberculosis. And this game creates a fictional dream world that takes place during the last few hours of his life. And so in this game, Frédéric Chopin plays the main role, and the game focuses around his life and his music. It's a pretty unique concept, to say the least. You'll travel through the game with a party of up to 12 characters. You'll be interacting with NPCs, you'll be visiting towns and villages to buy and sell stuff, and then you engage in turn-based combat and more. I especially like how they use whether you're standing in light or shadow to change up how the combat works. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And as you see by this footage, the graphics are nice and colorful too. You can really tell that some love and detail went into making this pretty unique RPG. And it's a beefy game too, taking about 40 hours to complete if you want to do everything in it. And you know, it only costs $15 for the digital version, which I think is actually a pretty good value. And it's got enough heart and charm to really stand out. It's a pretty special game, and fans of Japanese RPG should definitely pick it up. All right, here's a little controversy. So I'm going to talk about Ridge Racer Unbounded. Now, as you can tell, I'm very excited to talk about this arcade racing game, but unfortunately, it's a bit misunderstood, and honestly, I think it's way better than you might think. This game was developed by Bugbear. That's the company behind arcade racing games like Flatout and also Wreckfest. However, those games play nothing like traditional Ridge Racer games, not at all. But for some reason, Namco wanted them to make a Ridge Racer game, and the result is something that really turned off fans of the franchise when it launched. And to be honest, I get it. I think they were basically just trying to kind of reboot the series, I guess. The end result is that this game looks and plays completely different to any other Ridge Racer game. It plays more like a Burnout game, or I guess Split Second if you've ever played that really fun game. It's a mix of that. Now, a big focus of the game is drifting, as you would expect, but it's also got in there where you battle cars and you use the destruction of the environment. That's kind of the new features that they've brought to it. And that's really not that surprising because that's what Bugbear does best. That's what they bring to the Flatout and the Wreckfest series. It's just that they're shoving that into a Ridge Racer game. Now, one common complaint is that the drifting feels really different in this game than any others in the series. And you know, that's a bummer because you do need to play this game for a couple levels to get the feel of it and actually start winning races. That's at least my experience. When I first fired this up, yeah, I was losing pretty badly, but then you learn how the drifting works in this game compared to other Ridge Racer games, and that's when you get it, and that's when this game becomes fun. And then it just completely opens up from there, man. This is way more fun than I expected it to be. Again, just don't go into it thinking that it's a traditional Ridge Racer game and you'll be fine. Now, the good news is there is a really cheap physical version, both for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 if you want. And it's also available on the PC. I have it on my Steam Deck as well. But if you haven't played this game and you have an Xbox 360 and you like arcade racing games like this, you might want to snag the digital version while you can. You'll thank me later.
Life and death are the same. Both can have value and purpose.
War is coming.
覚悟はできておりまする。
Get more with your mobile at Currys. Claim a Pixel Watch or Pixel Buds Pro with the brilliant Google Pixel 8 or 8 Pro. Pick one up from just $24.99 a month and get free next day delivery. In store at Currys or online at carphonewarehouse.com.
Next up is a game I'm a little surprised to see is not backwards compatible on the Xbox One or series of consoles, and that is Warhammer 40k Space Marine. This is a really high quality third-person shooter mixed in with hack and slash, and it was developed by Relic Entertainment and then published by THQ. Relic Entertainment have been around for a while. They've made several loved games, including Homeworld on the PC, Company of Heroes, Age of Empires 4, and a bunch more. This game has you taking on hordes of orcs and also the forces of chaos as you're pushing your way through to your objective. And while you're doing that, you're going back and forth between melee attacks and shooting. That's the mechanic of this game. You're not always doing melee and you're not always doing shooting. You're mixing it up all the time. You're doing that because the game throws a lot at you, so you really need to watch your health here. However, you can quickly refill it by doing a finishing move on an enemy that you've beaten down. You'll get a button press option there, and then you'll take them down, and then your health gets back up, so that's cool. And as you see by this footage, the graphics are pretty good, right? And the action is pretty much non-stop. It pauses every once in a while to maybe do a cutscene here and there and progress the story, but for the most part, you are just cutting down enemies left and right. And I found exploring the environments pretty fun and interesting. Now, there is a sequel finally coming to modern systems, and, you know, I guess maybe one day we'll get a remaster of this game as well. Who knows, right? But as of now, I want to recommend you pick up this one, either the physical or digital version if you have an Xbox 360. There is also a PlayStation 3 version as well, if you prefer that console. Next up is Crimson Alliance. So this is a co-op action RPG that was published by Microsoft, and it's only available on the Xbox 360. Initially when this game launched, it was free to try, but then you could spend, I think it was 800 to 1200 Microsoft points to unlock all the character classes. I mention that because you need to consider that before the store closes if you decide to pick this up, because you can download it for free, but it won't give you access to all of the characters that you may want to play as. At its core, it's a pretty standard Diablo-style RPG where you have different characters with specific attack methods. The wizard will use a long-range attack, as you might expect. The mercenary has melee, and the assassin is a bit of a mix of the two. There are secret areas in each level to try to find, and I found that the levels were varied enough that it kept me interested while I was, hacking away at enemies and trying to find gold to upgrade my weapons and armor. Now, is this a must-own? I mean, probably not, since there are a lot of these type of games and experiences today that you could play on, newer systems. But I wanted to highlight it here one last time as, that store closes. This game may go away forever. All right, and finally, the one game on this list that is backwards compatible on the Xbox One and Series X. That, of course, is my beloved Hydro Thunder Hurricane. I've always loved this game. I've been playing it for years, and it's just a masterpiece. Sadly, there is no physical version of this game, which really bums me out. I mean, it actually bums me out so much that when I ran into the developer years ago at a gaming expo, I begged, I pleaded with them to eventually put out a physical version. Seriously, it's a holy grail game for me, and it deserves a special physical version of it. It's so stupid why we didn't get one. Now, if you played Hydro Thunder in the arcades or on the N64, or the PlayStation, or the Dreamcast, you know why these games are so much fun. They're amazing arcade racing games that don't come around very often. And Hydro Thunder Hurricane is a fantastic sequel. As you see by this footage here, the graphics are great. They're very colorful. The level design is detailed and inventive. The water mechanics are still amazing and feel right even today. Also, I love the amount of hidden shortcuts and things to discover all over this game, on every.
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Excellent!
On the battlefield, you'd be dead.
Level. If you can't tell by the tone of my voice, this is one of my favorite arcade racing games from this era. It's still a blast to play. So if you like these type of games, please go buy the digital version. I don't care if you get on the 360 or the Xbox One or the Series X. Just make sure that you have this on your hardware. You won't be disappointed. And so that, guys, is another video of Xbox 360 games that you probably should check out before Microsoft shuts down the marketplace forever. It's going to be a sad day. If there's any games that you think I've missed or should cover in a future video, please let me know down in the comments below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.
Welcome to Club Lloyd's, the inclusive account with exclusive benefits.
Hey guys, so I was really fortunate to be given a creator pass for MCM in London. The event is a 3-day event and it had been so long since I'd done an MCM that I really wasn't too sure what to expect. On the Friday I took my policewoman Bayonetta, which was the first time wearing this costume. Friday as a whole was just a lot of fun. The queue entry was pretty easy and much more organised than previous years. It wasn't so much of a pile-up, but it was such a long walk and I was so warm and so tired even after that first walk. But the atmosphere on Friday was really chilled and we mostly spent it looking around the stalls, finding all the fun photo op locations like this D&D bounty board. The Miniso plushie wall was just so cute, look at it! Sneak Energy was also at the event and they had little free samples and a reaction time game, which I was terrible at, but my friend actually won it. Aside the actual Excel Buildings food vendors, the event actually had quite a lot of its own, which is always a big win to have a wider variety of food and drink. I honestly just made cursed content as I was dressed as Bayonetta. I'd only really bought bubble tea from the food vendors personally, but the prices did seem really decent for convention food as my friend did buy from one of them.
Hey checks. Like is VF still having issues with online matchmaking? At least they keep practice rooms. Entertainment. Yeah, I'm just not sure if there's many players playing. I did get a few games earlier. Maybe there's not so many people on playing this game. you playing this game? Check. Played the tournaments on the weekend, checks, and there are still players in there. Early in the morning over there in Japan. No, it's not really. You switch up characters.
We just kind of chilled out and had fun while we scoped out the event and filmed some content and took some pictures, so Friday was just a pretty chill day. So for Saturday I went as Bayonetta 3's cat alternative outfit, which had its own problems we don't talk about. Overall though, the con was so much busier both indoors and outdoors. I didn't manage to do as much as I'd hoped to on Saturday with how busy it was. We spent actually most of the day in the autograph queue to meet Roger Craig Smith. He was absolutely super worth the wait though. He gave everyone so much time to talk, to sign things, to take photos, and his prices were also pretty affordable by convention standards. The only thing I will say is that we were in this queue for nearly 3 hours to meet him, but he was honestly talking to everyone and it honestly was worth that wait for me. We just spent most of the time chilling, eating snacks, spotting hung.
Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout!
I've got grace and power. You've got zip.
Sonics. He's dead! And going partly insane from random construction work that started happening.
Round 1.
We were nearly at the front.
Ready, go!
Roger's staff rolls are super nice. Let us
Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout!
I've got grace and power.
And
You've
he held
got
my
zip.
tiny sushi roll, Chris, which he thought was adorable and hilarious.
It's a little baby, Chris. Oh, yeah. Okay, so just Jill, it's Chris. Yeah. I'll do it.
I did enjoy Saturday, but it was honestly the most tiring day for me, but I'm so glad I went to meet Roger on Saturday as it freed up Sunday to do all of the fun things.
When you find a random key and the urge to take it is so strong. But no, there's a random key. There's a random key. And there's a lot of crap.
I know. Leaving the con be like, help me. Help me. Sunday honestly was probably my most favourite day. I debuted Alistair from Has Been Hotel. And despite being insanely warm for me, we managed to look around all the stalls. play the cool retro arcade games, which there was so many, and they were all free to play as well. They also had this cute little photo booth area, which you even got a free print of your cosplay, which was so adorable, and I thought it was amazing. We also discovered something incredible, which I think more events need, is one of the other halls was entirely for seating other than the main stage. It had more food vendors, which I really didn't expect to see, but it was so nice to just have an area to sit and chill for a bit instead of being on like the gross floor or having to take up chairs in a panel, which is what most events have if you need to sit down.
What is that? It's the unknown.
We did some awesome photo shoots with my friend Darren and made more TikToks before we went to lunch. Catnap got drunk off the Pepsi though.
I don't want to go to con. I'm too drunk on Pepsi.
And then we just went around looking at more of the stalls, buying the merch. I do have a little con haul at the end.
Round one. Ready, go!
Found this cute little beach set up for fun photos and videos.
Knockout! Round two. Ready,
Then
go!
there was this area which I honestly thought was just Doctor Who. We had this amazing little has-been hotel corner which was just so appropriate that I found it on the day I was Alistair.
Knockout! Round three. Ready, go!
We also took a little trip round to the sneak stand, who were just amazing again, and I'm so happy to join the Sneak Legion. Overall, I had a really great time at MCM. The event seemed to have really improved in a lot of areas, which I was so happy to see, as it made it so much more enjoyable. I hadn't been to an MCM in a good few years, so I really wasn't sure what to expect, and honestly, another thing that really helped out, they seemed to have working aircon this year, which was so nice. I didn't feel like I was
Round four.
suffocating
Ready,
or boiling
go!
alive, even in the costumes, they were a bit more warm. They also had these cosplay is not for sex signs, which were scattered around the event, which I absolutely love and support. Alistair says. Thank you so much again for MCM for having me as a creator, and to everyone who made my MCM so much fun and memorable, and I hopefully will be at the next one. Bye!
Boost your data for the full length of your contract with our £12 launch offer. Gift Gaff, we're up to good.
Round 2. Ready, go!
Take that!
Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go!
Take that!
Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout!
Grabbing Bill, and I'm checking it out.
Thanks for coming out.
Doing.
Pleasure
Bill.
to meet you.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
The Amphicar, huh?
1964.
My God, this is nerd heaven right here.
Yeah, this for sure is a car only a mother could love, you know?
Miss Ruthie, that we call it, is an Amphicar 1964 770. Stands for 7 knots in the water and 70 miles per hour on land. Due to my obligations of getting my daughter an education, I'm required to sell the car. I'm looking to get $48,000 for the car, The least I'm willing or able to take will be $45,000.
You know what? There's something about it I absolutely love.
They're cool cars, man. These were actually advertised back in the day as the sports car that floats.
Yeah.
They were made in Berlin, and a lot of the parts that you see are German parts. The interesting thing is they go with an English motor on the thing. When they originally went to build these, they were going to build 25,000 of them. They ceased production after 3,800, just based on the fact that it couldn't support itself. Pretty labor intensive, and last thing you want is this thing hitting the streets and sinking. The Amphicar was built from 1961 to 1967. A guy by the name of Hans Trippel, he decided that there was a dying need for people to have a car that goes in the water. They're a real quirky, kind of weird car, and it takes a special kind of guy to own one.
Yeah, President Johnson actually owned one of these. Yeah. And the story was like in his ranches in Texas or whatever, he'd have a bunch of people over, and he would just like start screaming and yelling that the brakes were out, and he'd drive it into his lake, just to scare everybody. This right here, though, I dig, though, because this is so George Jetson.
Yeah, George Jetson. Yeah. What's cool about this car, it's still an original paint.
It is original.
Looking at the interior, it looks like all original interior on the car. It does have collectability value, you know, so there's always someone for these cars.
So how many miles are on it?
Originally, there's 9,400 miles on it.
That's some low mileage. How many nautical miles?
I have no idea.
All right, so how much do you want for it?
I'm asking $48,000.
Okay.
Darling. How marvelous. How fabulous.
Say g'day to incredible views of Australia. From up above, from down below, and even...
All right, let's see if it floats.
Okay.
And if it floats, we'll talk.
Okay.
Can I drive?
As long as I got a life jacket.
I can't wait to take Bill and Rick on a ride in the Amphicar. It's going to be wild, it's going to be wet, and they're going to fall in love with it.
Someone going to say a little prayer?
Thank God the lake is shallow, my lord.
Here we go.
Nope, go right on in. Keep going. Don't even let go.
How do we...
Now push.
I leave it in gear?
Put the clutch in.
Okay, clutch is in.
Rick, put the stick in neutral. Let out. Give her some throttle. And you see the red light?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Holy crap, this is weird, dude.
Give her some more throttle.
Yeah, sit right back and you'll hear a tail.
That's not a good luck song, Rick. That's not a good luck song.
So what do you think?
This is like so poor man James Bond.
Well, for a boat car, she seems to run pretty good.
You know, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. Is that full blast?
No. They crank her up.
Oh, we're styling.
You guys know which way the beach is? This is actually pretty cool, man.
In a nerdy kind of way.
There you go.
Just another day at the beach. Now I can take some off my bucket list, man. I dug it from front to back to get in a car and do something so wrong is to drive it right into the water intentionally, man. It was just the weirdest thing ever, but it was great. It was an awesome experience to drive that thing in the water. So now the question is cool factor, and does it have $48,000 worth of cool factor? Well, there's one that went through auction that had 510 original miles. It went through at $55,000, and that's essentially a brand new car. A year later, it sold for $45,000. So that taken into consideration, in my opinion, I'd say for a car like this in this condition, you're right around 40 grand.
Okay. Well, thanks, man.
All right.
I love this thing. I know it's nerdy. I know it's goofy, but it just says Rick Harrison all over it. I mean, what is your best price on it?
What I'm really looking to get out of it truly is I'm trying to pay off a $45,000 loan.
Will you take 38 grand for it?
I can't go that low on it.
Can you do better?
It hasn't been for sale that long. I'd hate to come much below that, Rick.
There's a massive risk factor, and it's tying money up for a long time. All right, I'll tell you what. I just really dig the car, and I'm seriously considering maybe keeping it for myself. Will you do 42? I mean, I think it's a fair price. It's just 3,000.
It's a fair price. I just can't do 42 right now.
All right, I mean, you sure?
I'm positive. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks, guys.
You got it.
I'm not devastated, but damn close. I wanted this car. The only good thing about not making the deal is now I don't have to hide it from my wife.
You bring me out here to save you from yourself.
I'm
crazy.
I'm just nerd fabulous on that thing. It's a great car.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing?
So what is this?
It's a rare SMG 4-barrel spear gun.
Is it yours? I mean, is this something?
It is mine.
Is it something that you actually use, or?
Yes, I've used it quite a bit.
So what do you fish with this?
Anything that looks tasty and is legal to shoot.
Okay, I went sea bass fishing. I just used a pole.
I came to the pawn shop so I could sell my Johnson SMG 4-barrel spear gun. I can use the money to repair my boat so I can get back out spearfishing. I'd like to get $7,000 for the spear gun. Without the boat, I can't fish, so I can get another spear gun, just not a boat.
This is pretty cool. Is this something that you typically would use in a boat, or is it something you'd actually be like scuba diving?
It'd be, scuba diving or skin diving. It fires underwater.
So what can you tell me about it?
This is from the 60s and 70s, made by Tapmatic Company. Out of Costa Mesa, California, they had a single barrel, a 2-barrel, and a 4-barrel. And the 4-barrel is the most sought-after one.
I can understand why you would want a 4-barrel. I mean, if you shot a shark and didn't kill it right away, I'm sure you want another shot.
It's nice to have an extra shot. It sure is. And also good if you get a fish and then you see one that you like better, you've got another spear and, ready to go.
Is it spring-loaded, or?
No, it fires with 22 caliber nail gun blanks.
Can you show me how it works?
Sure. Okay, what you'll do is you have the cartridge adapters like these that a 22 will fit in. Then you load those into the back here, rotate the chamber to the next one, load it, rotate it, load it, then you're ready to go.
Similar to a Gatling gun.
Yep, except it fires underwater and a Gatling gun will probably screw up badly.
So, what are you looking to get out of it?
I'd like to get $7,000 out of it.
You know, buddy, I'm born and raised in Nevada. It's a landlocked state. These don't come through here very often. We got... Could be nothing, could be a major issue for me here. I don't know if this is considered a gun. My license allows me to buy antique firearms, but I'm also allowed to buy nail guns that uses the same exact cartridge that this thing would use. So I don't know where this falls. I am gonna have to give my buddy a call, have him come down here and take a look at it, tell me what it's worth and if it's a gun or whatnot.
Okay.
All right, so hang out and I'll get him down here for you.
Okay. Thanks. I love the idea of an expert coming out to see the gun. This gun is so
What's up,
rare,
dude?
the more you can find out, the better.
We've got an old blunderbuss here.
Almost. This thing is cool. Wow. So this was known as a Johnson SMG Mark IV spear gun or harpoon gun. These were really rare because the company only existed for a few years, and actually the rights were sold off to a company in New Zealand, but it no longer had.
Round 1. Ready, go!
Take!
Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Ring out! Round 3. Ready, go!
market just for the outside of its utilitarian use as a spear gun. So back here, you can see the maker markings. So Johnson was the designer. The submarine gun, that's why it's SMG, was made by a company called Tapmatic, which is Costa Mesa, California. So all of this checks out. No question, this is one of the American-produced ones, not one of the New Zealand ones, so it's much more valuable, and it's in excellent condition. At the time that these came out, they were considered the most powerful spear guns in the world because as opposed to using rubber bands, they used 22 caliber wadded blanks. So essentially, they were using the equivalent of a firearm charge.
Which brings me to my first question. Am I allowed to buy this?
I would say probably not. Now, the reason is the legal definition of a firearm in the United States laid out by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is any weapon that was designed or could be readily converted to expel a projectile by action of an explosive is legally considered a firearm. Now, there are exceptions. Anything made before 1899, so 1898 and earlier, is considered an antique. That's not a firearm. So, that being said, you couldn't buy it. I, however, have a federal firearms license. I can buy this type of thing, but I would really love to see it work. Have you fired it?
I have fired it, both underwater and on land, too.
Well, we have a range here out in the desert. I mean, is it something that you would come and do?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll have some fun with it.
Cool, guys. I'll meet you out at the gun range, and I'll be a happy spectator.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you, Rick. I'll see you at the range.
I guess I'll bring my dad if I have to.
I think he'd like it
Appreciate
a lot.
it, man.
Thanks, Corey.
My best advice for the shop is not to buy this because I don't want them in any kind of legal trouble by mistakenly buying a firearm. But these spear guns don't come up for sale often, and I'm pretty interested in it.
This is so cool looking. So this is a spear gun.
It is SMG 4-barrel spear gun.
So can you shoot a shark with this?
Yep, you could. Very easy.
So, looks like it's all ready to go?
Yep, just have to put the cartridges in and we'll be ready to fire it. It fires by 22 caliber nail gun blanks that are slid in through the breech. Then you put the spears down the barrel.
The spears would be different for underwater use, but for dry air use, we're using carbon arrows. To keep within the spear gun theme, I set up a large shark balloon, and it's a little windy, so it's actually like a bit of a moving target, but at least we get 4 chances at it.
Okay. I'm not going to shoot that thing until I see someone else shoot it a few times.
Well, I came out here with the purpose of shooting this to see if it's something I want to buy, so I guess I'll shoot it.
Okay. You want to cock it?
So now the safety's off?
The safety is off.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to stand back a little bit.
Oh my gosh, this thing is awesome. Rick, you gotta try this.
All right.
Look, you gotta wait. I got another balloon. I'll put it up right now.
All right. I guess this is the safety position.
Yeah, safe as it's going to get, I guess.
Not like when I was kids and we'd shoot an arrow straight up in the air and see who ran first.
Have at it.
All right. All right, here we go. Oh, come on.
This spear gun was really cool, unique, very powerful, way more powerful than I realized, and it actually hit the target, so I can only imagine how lethal that thing would be underwater. I'm gonna try to buy it.
It's so Buck Rogers.
I've never seen anything like it. Alex, what do you think it's worth?
I did find a little research that one sold just like this about 10 years ago for $7,500. But there is no question in my mind after using this that this should legally be considered a firearm. That means I'd only be able to sell it through an FFL process, which is more complicated and it limits the market. So for me, you know, I would like to own it. I think that if I were to offer you $2,000, I think that's a pretty fair price.
2,000's, very low. I couldn't accept 2,000. I mean, I'd be a player more in, let's say, 6.
I could come up to 3,000, but that would be it. I
do need to fix my boat. Could you do like 4,500?
It's weird watching this, isn't it? It is, yeah. Doesn't feel right.
I'll give you 3250.
4,000.
3250, it's fair.
You'd feel really good about $4,000, I'm sure.
I won't feel good about 4,000, but
Eventually you will.
All right, 3,500.
3,750.
Oh, come on! 3,500, you're right there.
3,500.
All right, fine.
All right.
Cool.
Deal.
Deal?
Okay.
You own it.
It was worth something.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
I would have liked to have gotten a little more money, but I'm okay. I can fix my boat.
I appreciate it,
If
Rick.
you ever want to learn to dive, come, look me up and, bring that thing with you. And
It'll probably cost me as much to learn the dive as I spent on the gun.
What can I help you with?
I got this medal.
Okay. A Lusitania medal.
Yep.
These things are sort of like the Holy Grail. In really good condition, they could probably go for $20,000, $30,000. If it's the real deal, it's worth that or maybe even a little bit more.
I came to the pawn shop to sell my Lusitania medal. I'd like to sell it today because I need the money.
Where did you get this?
My mother found that about 40 years ago.
Okay. The sinking of the Lusitania is almost as famous as the sinking of the Titanic. It's also what brought the U.S. into World War I. The Lusitania was a great luxury liner. I mean, it was right around the same size as the Titanic. It was a huge ship. You have to remember, in 1915, the British were at war with the Germans. It's World War I. The United States was not in the war yet, but we were supplying arms to Britain. Now, the Lusitania was a luxury passenger ship, but they were using it to transport arms to England.
Yeah.
The Germans actually took an ad out in newspapers in New York City and basically said, don't get on Lusitania, because if it's carrying arms, we are going to sink it. Obviously, a lot of people didn't take them seriously, and a U-boat ended up sinking the ship. Sinking the Lusitania was a crazy move for Germany. Yes, they warned us, but killing 1,200 civilian passengers, that was unwarranted.
Why would they make a medal about Lusitania?
Germans were like proud of sinking this when they shouldn't have been. I mean, they killed 1,200 innocent people. To see these people in line to buy tickets, if you look close, it's death selling the tickets. This man's reading the newspaper right here. That's where the Germans put the ad in the newspaper. Don't get on the Lusitania because we'll sink you. The British copied the medal. They made right around 300,000 copies. Sold them more or less to say this is how barbaric the Germans are. It was a PR thing. So the question is this an English one or a German one? Because the German one is worth a hell of a lot more than the English one. The original German coin was made of bronze. Ones made in England were made out of iron. The way you tell them apart is bronze is not magnetic whatsoever. And the thing is, if a magnet sticks to this, it's not an original German one. Which is worth...
Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go!
whenever someone comes in the store with a medal or a coin, I have to be 100% sure it's what they say it is. In this case, a magnet will prove it.
Dun dun dun.
Damn it. Huh. You know, I've never tried to pick that up with the magnet before.
It's not an original German one. It's not bronze. It's a British copy.
What do you think this medal's worth?
I think it's probably worth right around 150 bucks. And I would give you 100 for it.
Yeah, I don't know. For $100, I think I would just put it in a box and let my great-grandkids have it.
Well, have a nice day then.
If I'd have pulled out a magnet 35 years ago, I probably would not have had that medal today. I drank a lot and I'd have probably traded it for a beer.
Hey, Rick, remember me? How's it going, man? How you doing, Rick? I'm good, man. This is cool.
Check out this boy. Yeah, this is a 1920s English Channel buoy light. It's all solid brass.
I'm like super nerding out on this thing, dude.
Sky Glass, a TV made by Sky. Perfect for an epic summer of sport.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday, Sony held their State of Play, and for the most part, it was met with underwhelming reactions online. But still, there were a bunch of games announced there, and I figured we'd go over everything here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a big announcement that came out of that State of Play. That's Astrobot, as we did get a bunch of new details showing that Team Asobi is not messing around with this one. And then we did get some of our first indication when it comes to sales numbers for Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and we can of course compare them to the original GameCube release to see how it's holding up. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members of the channel do get Newswave early. If you'd like to learn more about that and support the channel further, click the join button down below this video. And we're going to start today with God of War Ragnarok, as it was announced for PC during that State of Play, and well, people noticed some of the fine print and of course that little asterisk that was there on the Steam page, which you can see this posted up by Wario64, saying that God of War Ragnarok on PC requires, yes, a PSN account, which is obviously the center of controversy online around Helldivers 2 and how Sony did not require that for a while, and then they came back and said, okay, now you need to sign up to play a game that you've already purchased. My thing with this, though, is clearly this is Sony's strategy when it comes to these PC releases. They're trying to get you into their general ecosystem, even if you're on Steam. The issue they ran into with Helldivers 2 is that they did not do that from the start, so it's not a great look to go back and then require it on a purchase that someone had already made, and that's the big reason, as well as a ton of people were playing it. It was very popular and they didn't want to lose that user base, but that's why they backtrack on it. In this case, the game comes out and they have it at launch, they're going to make that push, and it's not shocking for me anyway to see this was God of War Ragnarok, but still, there will be backlash, and I assume Sony's going to push through it, but you never know. We saw what happened with Helldivers 2, I guess God of War Ragnarok could run into the same thing. Also, there is a new Pac-Man game that released a couple of weeks ago, and it's a battle royale style. So there's 64 players, and you battle it out in Pac-Man fashion. There's only one issue. The game actually hasn't been able to accrue enough players to fill out the entire room. You can see this is posted
I've got the advantage. You've got nothing.
Daily Pac-Man said according to Steam, at the time of this race, the all-time player count for Pac-Man
Round one.
Battle Chomp
Ready,
go! Now they have Pac-Man at 52 all-time, and that's what I saw as well. And when I checked that, so I mean, yeah, nowhere near the 64 player. And it's a $20 game. I don't know if that is like the biggest this up for 20 bucks. I think some people are gonna look at something like this, especially in Battle Royale, and we had like something like Pac-Man 99. Look at that and say, well, it's play.
Round two.
Not here. And
ready,
if it's
go!
Hold up 64 players and run the entire room, that's never going to happen. It's probably there because eventually Bandai Namco kind of pulls the board and moves on. Oh, and it does look like that final Redfall update did stuff in there. So they say the game update 4 is available now in all consoles, single player, and
Round 3.
really Arcane Austin.
Ready,
yeah,
go!
Resolved for the most part, and that package, I believe, is being broken up and then sent off to help out with some of the other projects. And then there's also a bunch of layoffs that we'll talk about. But that's also the Redfall. They are trying to refund anyone who brought in the Bite Back edition, the expansion, and contents that they're never going to get to at this time. But at least it is playable offline. Again, I'm not really here to tell you that Redfall is a good game, but it's at least there and present just in case in 10 years people want to see what Arcane Austin's last project was. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony's State of Play. It ran for about 35 minutes, and it did indeed have 14 games there. Not necessarily 14 new games. In fact, there were many that we already knew about or have already even released or been in different betas, but they wanted to highlight them here anyway. And the biggest drawback for this show, as you're going to see, none of their major studios were there with anything massive necessarily to show off, because that's clearly something I guess they would save for a showcase, and that's something that a lot of the fans have been calling for. But nonetheless, let's go down the list here for everything that was announced at this State of Play. Starting at the top with Concord. This took up roughly a third of the overall showcase. I clocked it in just over 12 minutes, and a good chunk of that was a pre-rendered cutscene where they were trying to introduce some of the different characters, because it is indeed a hero shooter, and that having the lore behind the different characters is a big deal for games like Overwatch, and this appears to be Sony's take on an Overwatch game. So look, they see how popular those games
Round
can
1.
be. Not all
Ready,
of them will be that way, but
go!
So they believe they can do the same thing. So Firewalk is going to take a shot at Concord. I'm pretty disappointed to see this myself, because I didn't think this is what Concord was going. Although, I mean, I guess they didn't really show us much in the first place. I'm so hero shootered out. I mean, let me know if you're still someone who's really in the trenches with all this stuff, excited for this, which is great if you are. But once I saw what looked like kind of General Mills Guardian of the Galaxy style there with the cutscene and sort of the players and the writing, I think I'm good on that one.
Round 2.
There will be a beta in
Ready,
July, and it will
go!
be August 23rd, 2024 for PC and PlayStation 5. Moving on, they then showed God of War Ragnarok on PC, offline support, a slew of different upscale options like DLSS, FSR, and it's coming out September 19th. Next up, the Dynasty Warriors Origin. So, hey, awesome news for Dynasty Warriors. It's another franchise.
Knockout.
I don't know, it's because I've been in gaming for so long. I'm kind of Dynasty Warriors out at this time.
Round 3.
For fans of
Ready,
the franchise, really
go!
This coming out in 2025, so have to wait a little while on that one. Then we had Nikki. There's a test in quarter 3 2024. I'm not really sure what to make of this one, but hey, you know what? I'm sure RGT was real excited about that. Then we had Ballad of Antara, that's 2025. This is on the PS4 2, which would be
Knockout!
VR2 titles here. It's interesting, it's in like medieval time, swords,
Round 4.
hook. There are some pretty
Ready,
bosses, and
go!
a car that'd be much more impactful to stand in front of a Colossus style boss right beside you down. Coming out fall 2024. Then we have Alien Rogue Version, that's holiday 2024 for the PSVR 2. I think this is one of the more interesting titles for that headset that I'm looking at right now. I think it makes sense to have this even around kind of the Halloween time period, tracked by a
Round 5.
alien isolation style.
Ready, go!
Absolutely terrifying, and I wouldn't mind checking that out. Marvel Rivals, again, another hero shooter we've already seen. Talked about this on the show. It was released previously into how people have shown clips online, and it was from NetEase in July 2024 for data on the PlayStation 5. We had Where Winds. There's no release date on that right now, and we are seeing more and more of these action, samurai, ninja style games. They're all starting to look very safe to me. Still, it's another one that's coming out here. Again, nobody.
Knockout!
Until Dawn. Heard about this before. There was, of course, a rumor going around about it. Fall 2024, PlayStation 5 and PC. Path of Exile 2, which is a very good game. Going to PlayStation 5 late 2024 with early access. There is also crossplay and cross progression. So if you want to move your character around or play with friends who are on other platforms, you can do that here. Then we had Silent Hill 2, which Konami also had an extended look for gameplay, about 13 minutes or so actually, at their own showcase later on in the day. It looks it looks better in this trailer than it did previously. Bloober Team said that, and you know what? Hey, they were right. It still doesn't look like it's on the level of a Resident Evil remake that we've seen from Capcom, where they've taken some of the older Resident Evils, of course, moved them up with 2 and 3 and 4. But it definitely looks like they've modernized Silent Hill 2 without just outright trying to ruin the thing. So I am looking forward to checking this one out. October 8th, so fits in with that Halloween time, and I'll be checking that one out then. Monster Hunter Wilds looks great. Dynamic weather was really playing an effect here with this battle. There's lightning shooting down mid-fight. Visually speaking, it looks great. Probably the best looking Monster Hunter game I've seen so far. 2025, though, of course, still have a bit of time to wait on that one. And then finally, the big closeout. Astrobot is indeed getting its own big release, and this to me is exciting stuff. Now we're going to go a bit more in depth with Astrobot as we had some other details, and I just made it its own section because, I mean, the game looks awesome. But just kind of reflecting on the state of play, I did a reaction to it yesterday. I've thought a bit more about it since then, and you know, there's always the chance that Sony could announce more stuff, say at Summer Game Fest. We've seen them work with Jeff Keighley in the past. This just felt very underwhelming in general. I mean, Concord, I just don't think was going to be the game that was really going to move things along for a lot of PlayStation fans, as they typically look towards more narrative single-player driven experiences, not a hero shooter or like a kind of a knockoff Overwatch. We'll see again when it comes out and we have the closed beta stuff to go off of, but it didn't seem like a showcase that really was going to move the needle for Sony. However, Astrobot, well, that might be another story. Next up, let's talk about an update for PlayStation Blog that did give us more details on a game that's coming out September 6th, and that is indeed Astrobot. That's right, it's 3 months out from reveal, and I think that is awesome for a game like this to show it and then be like, oh yeah, you can pick it up September? How's that sound? Good? 3 months from now? Awesome. It kind of plays against what we've seen with Sony previously, where they will show the same game multiple times at E3s year and year and year, right? In this case, though, hey, we'll see in a couple months. And with PlayStation Blog, we got some more details on it. Starting with pre-orders, as this is something that, of course, has come up. How much is this game going to cost? We're going to find out June 7th. I'm kind of thinking Sony's going to take a shot at full price on this one at $70, and there's going to be some whiplash for people looking at that like, ooh, $70 on that. But hey, you want the big 3D platforming Astro game, and maybe Sony's looking around like, we're going to price this similar to how Nintendo might price Mario. So maybe they're going to push that route. We'll see. It could also be a $50 or a $60 game. Well, there's room for them to play around with the pricing there. But 6 galaxies spanning over 80 levels, and the idea here is Astro has a crew that's been strewn about this galaxy on these different levels, and you have to find them. There's unique planets, they say, from lush forests, sandy beaches, hot volcanoes, which we saw a lot of these environments in that very fast-moving trailer. They also mentioned more surprising locations, such as a gigantic hourglass or the canopy of a single tree. I really do think that Team Asobi is just allowed to have all kinds of fun with this game just based on the trailer that they showed it. It really looked like they're going to do all kinds of wild stuff here. There's over 15 new abilities taking full advantage of the DualSense controller. We know Team Asobi in the past, with like them and Japan Studio stuff, they've worked alongside of a lot of the technology that Sony will put out. So it's not shocking to hear that they're going to go full on with this DualSense controller, maybe do things we haven't seen before. There's over 70 new enemy types. It's packed, as they say, with die and retry levels to test your reflexes for those looking for challenge. And they do mention the character cameos quite a bit. In fact, they've kind of alluded to the idea of them playing a bigger role, and if you look at the trailer, they showed all kinds of different cameos there, whether it's from Uncharted, Parappa. We saw all kinds of references to the different PlayStation generations, so yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of fun Easter eggs and different things to find, especially if Astro's Playroom was anything to go on, and that's kind of how I'm viewing this, is a much larger Astro's Playroom. That's like the foundation. Now they're going to the next level with Astrobot, and I'm really excited for this one. September 6th, I'm there day one, even if it is a $70 game. This just feels like, for Sony, we hear about experiences, narrative-driven adventures. This just feels like a video game, like in the most basic sense. And that's something I like
Round
to see
one.
Alongside
Ready,
narrative
go!
Something just fun. Exciting stuff. This, to me, absolutely safest state of play. It would have been, at least in my eyes, nearly disastrous. So Team Asobi, and solving storm. At the top, we do have Paper Mario 1000-Year Door sitting at 115,689 copies. Now, when compared to the GameCube version released 20 years ago, that
Ready, go!
750 copies. So, I mean, this is fairly behind it. However, we didn't have digital sales back then, and now we do. And if we even assume a 70% split, Paper Mario 1000-Year Door is either right in line with the GameCube version or about selling it by 1,000 copies. So, it's not absolutely crushing a game that came out on a smaller install size. The game doesn't necessarily do well for Nintendo when it comes to just outright unit sales.
Round
still,
3.
It's probably doing well enough for a
go!
Whatever you want to refer to it as, that wasn't over the top with new content all over the place and completely redoing it like you may see from Super Mario RPG, which did significantly better than 1000-Year Door. But then we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, of course, Earth Defense Force, World Brothers, that's a 3, Ring Fit Adventure, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Stellar Blade, Minecraft on the Switch, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and then Splatoon 3. Moving over to the hardware, the Switch did jump up about 8,000 or so units, though, to
Round 4.
32.
Ready,
go! About 28,368. The Xbox Series fell a bit, about 500,099. And the PS4, wow, more than doubled to 131 systems. The Switch continues to power along in its year in terms of hardware sales in Japan, and Paper Mario 1000-Year Door is interesting to see when Nintendo themselves report the numbers outright, like across all regions, because I am curious to see comparisons back to the GameCube and then also for Donkey King, just to see if Nintendo maybe looks that way. We can use this more traditional format when it comes to the battle system, or just sort of the structure of Super Mario, and they can work on that into a brand new title, maybe for the next generation device, the Switch 2. So something to keep an eye on here with Paper Mario 1000-Year Door, especially the next time Nintendo talks with investors. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about the Evercade Alpha, which is a bar-top arcade unit that actually takes cartridges. We can see this, though, posted up. This was over on Evercade with their official account, where they say, introducing Evercade Alpha, the first Evercade-compatible arcade machine. Now, they are showing off 2 different versions of it, and they do have 2 just designs in general, but each one has different games to pick from, so there's 6 built-in Capcom games per unit that will vary. They have 2-player local multiplayer as an option with, you gotta buy these extra controllers to do it, but it is possible. And it's compatible with more than 50 of those Evercade carts. Some of those cartridges are they're compilation cartridges, so they have a bunch of different games on there, but yeah, you can buy physical carts of older titles, pop them into this machine, and it'll play like a little arcade cabinet. So that's actually pretty cool. The pricing, though, starts at $230. That's what they discounted pre-order price. So it's not like a necessarily cheap thing, because I mean it'll go up from there if $230 is the discounted rate. Pre-orders are live June 4th, and it will go on sale fully in November. So I do like the idea of arcade cabinets in general taking cartridges. I think that's a fun idea. And while I have looked at like Arcade 1-Up, and that's kind of evolved to a position where I'm not really as excited when they announce one because it comes with a massive price sticker attached to it, like $1,000 a time just about. I do look at this and go, okay, something more counter level, and it's sort of a really a play on what they've done with their arcade setup in general with their own little cartridges that you use. Like, that is at least somewhat compelling because there's expandability there beyond just what you get with the built-in game. So
round 1,
probably more for
ready,
arcade
go!
Or people who are trying to build out a game. And before we go to the comments of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. Brad, give the Sony State of Play a grade. C, pretty much the number 1 answer here. Then B, then F. Okay, then B, then wow, 4% graded an A. Yeah, I'm probably right there. I'm actually probably about a D. And if it wasn't for Astronaut, I might have given it a thing. I mean, it was really like that. I mean, I just feel it's overwhelming for what was shown at this State of Play around this time when we believe
round 2.
It's probably gonna have a
ready,
showing themselves.
go!
Nintendo will have at least something show up from their first party studios, even if it's like remasters or remakes or something. People are already switched to anyways, beyond this direct coming up, whereas this, people are kind of like, okay, maybe Sony's going to do something big with first parties. And while Astrobot was there, people were looking like, okay, what's Naughty Dog doing? What's Sucker Punch doing? What's Sony Santa Monica?
Round 3.
Bend it.
Ready,
there are a lot of other studios
go!
before that just weren't here. So yeah, you're gonna get an underwhelming state of play. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Rockstar, who says that chart shows that we can have 10-year console cycles if the hardware is good enough. I'd be on board with that personally. Yeah, I don't think, especially now, we're seeing the diminishing returns. No one's really calling for 8K resolution. People are pretty happy with 4K, just that being expanded and improved. Higher frame rates, right? And obviously, we're talking about picture quality as well. OLED.
Round 4.
Different versions of LED
Ready,
displays.
go!
I feel like 4K is a good step for us just kind of go laterally almost with that. And then we look at consoles with diminishing returns. I do wonder how much that mid-term refresh is going to be required for the mainstream of the PS4 Pro. And if maybe the PS6 and Microsoft's next system, maybe they are able to make that last 10 years because visuals are just the best you can sell a new generation on, are the graphics. I don't know if you really do that as much anymore, so maybe we'll get 10 years out of the next system before we start hearing about like the PlayStation 7. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newsweek. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, not hit the dislike. Comments down below and everything.
Knockout!
Here today, where there's so many state of play. What do you think of the show overall? But also, what about
Round 5.
Are you picking that up in a
Ready, go!
Would you like to see Nintendo go in the direction of that for a brand new Paper Mario game, or do you like the idea of them doing weird and wild stuff like World Cup? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m.
Knockout!
Better run home to Mama now.
Last year, we made a commitment to ourselves. Slow down, take some time off.
Have the Kardashians slow down. No.
Knockout. Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout.
You'll never be a match for me.
Round 1. Ready, go!
Communication generally ensures fluency suggestions to be specifically for you. See why 98% of multilingual report that it helps them write in English.
Knockout.
Also accelerate your productivity by using Grammarly to compose.
Round 2.
reply in
Ready, go! Knockout. Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 4. Ready, go!
Better run home to Mama now.
Round 1. Ready, go! Round 2. Ready, go! Time's up! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout!
次に会うまでにもっと強くなってね。
コエン剣の神髄はあ見るがよい新技の実験台にしてやるぜ
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout!
for real. Say your prayers.
Round 1. Ready, go! Excellent! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go!
All right, yeah!
Knockout!
All right, yes!
Round 4. Ready, go!
Yes!
Knockout!
Ha! I am the ultimate.
You'll enjoy this, trust me. Ready?
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Excellent! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout.
You'll never be a match for me.
Go ahead, knock yourself out. Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round one. Ready, go!
Well.
Knockout!
Well.
Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go! Knockout! Round four. Ready, go! Knockout! Round five. Ready, go! Knockout!
Well. Well. On the battlefield, you'd be dead.
What are you doing? I understand you have a new regime over there. Things are going to be changing, and we're doing things differently. So maybe this is something from the old regime. But you had a state of play presentation yesterday that it wasn't good. And I don't know why some people are convincing themselves that they liked it. Like, it's okay to not like something, even if you're a diehard Sony pony, because many of the diehard Sony ponies did not like that event. But obviously there were some highlights. Astrobot was really cool, but there was one game that stuck out like a sore thumb. A game that got the most presentation time out of any other game at this event. So you would think, well, this is the big game. This is the high quality game. This is the game that people are going to be playing for a while and it's going to get high reviews. But it's not, because everyone hates it. Everyone hates this game. And I, of course, am talking about Concord, because who thought to put this at the start of the presentation. So they started off this presentation with this Concord game that we're going to be talking about. And I talked about this in yesterday's video. Go watch it if you haven't. But they start this presentation out with this Concord game. And you look and it's like Temu versions, Wish versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're showing this long cinematic trailer, and you're watching this and you're thinking, at least I was like, oh, well, it's going to be like a Guardian of the Galaxy style game. That was a really good game. Obviously, that Marvel license probably is what hurt it a lot in terms of having to sell enough units. But like, I liked that game. I thought that game was really fun. So like, you steal something, and then like some people come into this cafe that you're eating at, and you're like, okay, so it's gonna be that style of game. And then after this 6 or so plus minute cinematic trailer, you see the gameplay, and it's a hero shooter, a 5-on-5 hero shooter. Now, as far as I am aware, this was the first time we learned what the game was actually going to be, because the previous trailer just showed like a spaceship with a roast beef sandwich on it. So people thought this was going to be like an action adventure game, you know, a single player sort of thing, maybe a team up with people or whatever the case may be. But I don't think anyone read the room as a 5-on-5 hero shooter game that, I mean, let's be real. While there are success stories in that realm, there are hundreds of dead games that have died because they tried to emulate a style that was prevalent 7+ years ago when Fortnite and Overwatch first came out. And those games were new and they were different. Now, Fortnite's kind of a little bit different, but take a look at Overwatch and you could see so many Overwatch-esque style elements and gameplay elements in this game. This isn't 7 years ago anymore. Nobody's playing these games as they come out, as there's something awesome. But the best thing about this, about Concord, is everyone hates it. Everyone hates this game. And by everyone, I mean there are obviously two very distinct loud sides in video games right now, where it's, you know, the DEI, sweet baby stuff, we like that, and then there's the anti-woke people. You know, you have me. People don't know what I am because I am nothing. I kind of look at a game on a case-by-case basis to see if the game looks good, and then, you know, if there's something weird about it, I'll say that, like, but I'm not going to assume everything. But this game, I feel like, has brought the two sides together, because this game is obviously pandering to a certain audience. When you look at the character select screen, extremely diverse to the point of, like, you're just kind of throwing darts at a wall. There's pronouns for the characters. Pronouns! And it's like, okay, you know, it's a hero shooter. I'm not really expecting a deep narrative.
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout!
my training next time. It didn't say that they're going to be like updating cutscenes and stuff like that, so it's obviously trying to pander at least a bit to that side that likes that kind of stuff, which of course will automatically anger the other side who hates all of that stuff. But it really boils down to the gameplay at the end of the day and how the game looks. And the game looks like ass. I mean, let's just look here at their YouTube trailer for Concord's gameplay. We have 3.2 thousand likes, which I'm sure that's a little bit inflated, and 18,000 dislikes. This is a massive ratio, and you can't sit there and say that it's people that are just hating on the game because there's a diverse cast, or they're hating on the game because the characters all have pronouns. I think people are hating on this game because it looks like garbage. And Sony fans, PlayStation 5 owners have been waiting for something exclusive, and this is a console exclusive game. Here's the funny part about this. The game looks like trash, and we don't even know if this game's going to cost money. There is still no definitive answer on whether or not this game is going to cost money. So in my mind, I'm like, they put this out there to see people's reactions, to see if they could charge money, and if people liked it, if people shilled for it, if people said this looks like the greatest evolution of this type of game, this is Overwatch 3, then maybe they would charge people money for it. But this game is going to get thrown on the PlayStation Plus, I feel. If it wants to have any chance of doing any sort of numbers and having any sort of player base, you cannot charge money for this game. Because you had another hero shooter at your own presentation that looked better. It didn't look great. Marvel Rivals, you know.
Maybe I should switch to an EV. But what's the right EV for me? Can I come here with one charge? I would love to be able to do that. Also would love some extra personal space. What can I do while my EV charges? What does that mean? Cool design, but I need a smaller car.
Today, we continue the movement we started with the EV9. And now, introducing the Kia EV3.
Not a type of game that I am going to play, but that game looked leagues better. And instead of the knockoff, crappy, Wish version of Marvel characters, you have actual Marvel characters in this game. Like, who is this game for? Who is this game for? You're trying to enter a diminishing marketplace. You have characters that you have to create a backstory for, and maybe you thought that you were going to be Overwatch 2, which Overwatch 2 didn't do nearly as well as Overwatch 1, but you were going to be Overwatch-esque and give these characters a backstory and make people love them. But that came out at a time frame when there weren't many games like that. It was new, it was fresh, it was exciting, and this is the problem with the AAA video game industry. Concord completely shows you why the AAA video game industry is in shitter right now. Because all of these ideas that we're going to start seeing coming to fruition are ideas from 5+ years ago, because it takes so damn long to make these games and create these games and create these characters. And by the time the game is shown, it's a diminishing marketplace. It's a marketplace that it's oversaturated, and people aren't playing these types of games anymore. If you're marketing towards kids, you're not going to beat out Marvel Rivals. They have Marvel characters. If you're pandering to, if your target audience is the progressive audience, they're not going to care, because the game doesn't look interesting. The game doesn't look different than any other type of game in this style. And if you're trying to appeal to the casual gamer by putting it on you know, PlayStation Plus, they're not going to care because it's an outdated video game model. How do you take a swing at this and miss so bad? Like, this game, it literally looks like one of the most generic things I've ever seen. It doesn't look fun. It's not going to be a success. Point blank, period. I know I have gone on record and said that certain games were not going to be a success. Shout outs to the Sea of Thieves documentary that Rare made using a voice clip of mine saying, hey, I don't think this game is going to be a success. I was wrong. I was wrong. Thank you, Rare, for proving me wrong, because I appreciate that, but I'm not wrong about Concord. This is going to flop, just like Foam Stars flopped, just like Lawbreakers, and all these, what was it, Ubisoft made a game that's dead, Knockout City, EA, dead. People are tired of these games, bro. And the fact that this was a first-party game, one of 2 new first-party titles for Sony at this presentation. What the hell am I excited for this year on my PlayStation 5? Nothing. Besides Astrobot. Astrobot looks fire. Looks very fire. But besides Astrobot, there is nothing appealing. There's nothing. Third-party games. Okay, I can play those on my Xbox. At least Xbox is potentially giving me Avowed. At least Xbox is potentially giving me Indiana freaking Jones, which looks awesome. But why do I feel like that's going to get screwed up, too? I'm not trying to dunk on PlayStation here. I'm a PlayStation 5 owner. I've had it since day one. I own the PlayStation VR 2 as well. I've given Sony a lot of my money, a lot of my time over the years. But when you throw some game out here that looks like absolute diarrhea, a mishmash of just ideas that don't really blend well together, a generic template, plug and play some characters of diversity just for the sake of it, like, you're not appealing to those people because the game sucks, and you're pissing off another group of people, and then people like me who don't really claim a side, we just laugh. We're like, look at this, you completely screwed this up. You've pissed off everyone. And that, my friends, is the best kind of piss off. When you're able to piss off everyone and you're able to make everyone be like, this is BS, man, that's the best. That is the best, because you have just completely screwed up. Let me know in the comment section down below, though. Are you one of the 3,200 people that are excited for Concord? Because I feel like a lot of those are Sony employees and probably some purchased likes, because people do that kind of stuff. You got to balance it out a little bit. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share the video around, because I'm sure people will be very even. You know, I do think people will be even keel about this because everyone hates it. So I shouldn't get any negative feedback for once. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.
Okay, well, I'm losing my mind.
We're here to make your life more fun.
Come on, get up. Can we give me a quick 5? Just
Get out of the bed.
Right, jeez. I think I'm an excellent candidate for the job. I'm sorry, but I just don't think you're qualified to be an accountant. So. Which is why you'll have the job. Oh, thank you so much. This is amazing. There's more where that came from. I hope not.
Forehead and you a hardwood breaking. I've been wrong. I've been down.
Welcome back to one of the most exciting Who Wants to Be a Millionaire shows I can remember. But now it's time for normal service to resume. We have 6 brand new contestants sitting out there on the studio floor. Let's meet them, shall we? They are Jasfi Joel from Twickenham, Ria King from Accrington, Don Mansley from Macclesfield, Kabir Singh Bra from Fulham, Annabelle Wilson from Shetland, and Kathy Ashby from Northampton. Right, now to see who gets to sit in the chair, we're going to play fastest finger first. Is everybody ready? Good. Nice and quiet in the audience, please. Here comes the question. Put these Coronation Street characters in alphabetical order according according to their surnames. Barlow, Bailey,
You know what you're getting yourself into.
Round 1. Ready, go!
Thumbs up. So see the at the top, then Barlow, then Liam Battersby, and then Leslie. For reveal. Okay, now let's see how many people got that.
Knockout!
What is it? 4 people losing.
Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go!
This is your 100 question.
Take that.
A convertible car is one that has which wheel.
Knockout!
This for 2 rounds.
Round 4. Ready, go!
That's 2 rounds. Okay, this for £100.
Knockout!
Which of these foods would be suitable for someone with a vegan diet?
Round 5.
Cheese,
Ready, go! Knockout!
Well, it was ridiculous.
Correct answer, £500. And now we've reached your first safety net. We've got to get you to it. Here it comes, £1,000 question. The crown jewels of the UK are kept on display at which location? Tower of London, Windsor Castle, Houses of Parliament, Buckingham.
This'll hurt you more than it hurts me.
Round 1. Ready, go!
Fairly confident.
Knockout!
Often caused by a deficiency of iron. Sinusitis,
Round 2.
asthma,
Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Excellent! Round 4. Ready, go!
Right. nice.
Ora, ora, ora!
Are holiday providers. I've never actually heard of Opodo. I definitely know ANC are. So, ASOS, final answer.
Correct answer. Well done. Right. Would you like to set your safety net at £8,000?
No, thank you.
Ah.
This is for real. Say your prayers.
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout!
Yeah, Maria will be back next time on the auto queue to see if she can get better than
Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout!
I have absolutely no idea, and I would like to ask the audience, please.
All right, okay, audience, on your keypads, please.
Round 4. Ready, go!
All right, yes!
There it is, look at that. 95% of votes for Reg. 3 for Diana Ross. 2
Knockout!
for Richie, and only 3 for Dolly Parton. So that's what it's all clear.
Go with Elton John. Final answer then, please.
Round 5. Ready, go!
Wow, hot dog!
Who did not
Knockout!
win a gold medal on Super Saturday at the London 2012 Olympics? Mo Farah, Victoria Pendleton,
I am the ultimate.
Greg Rutherford, or Jessica Ennis?
Well, I remember watching this, and all 3 of the winners of this Super Saturday were athletics, and Victoria Pendleton is a cyclist. The answer is definitely Victoria Pendleton, so final answer.
I want to try and build a bit of tension up now.
What are you waiting for? Come
And
get
everybody
some.
already knows it. Well done.
Round 1.
Hi, I'm Nicola
Ready,
Kennedy, founder
go!
and mortgage advisor here at DM Mortgages. Now,
All right,
Now, safety net of 32,000.
Given I've got 3 lifelines, I'm gonna wait, so I'll say no.
No. Right, here is your question. Roughly 95% of the world's supply of which gemstone comes from Australia? Topaz, opal, ruby, or sapphire?
I think I'd like to ask the host and see what you think about this one.
Okay. Here's what I think. Covered in Jules. Oh, no, wait. Do you know, I've got, I thought it's Opal, but I haven't got a clue why I think it's Opal. Well, Ruby, I'm sure it isn't Ruby, which would help if you then went on to do 50-50, because I'm pretty certain it's not Ruby. I don't use Sapphire either. Where have I seen? I'm thinking of airport gift shops. You know what I mean about hotel, when you to airport gift shops, you go through them and they always sell what the country's famous. You go to Caribbean, it's hot sauces and so on.
Do they have a lot of Opal in Australian airports then?
Oh, I'm just trying to think, when you go through Sydney Airport, or Darwin, and I've been through all of them, I don't know why I think it's Opal, I just do. So I'm unable to really help you for sure, which is, unless you want to do a 50-50. And that, I'm afraid, is my final answer.
I think I will do a 50-50 just to be a little bit more confident and see what happens there. So yeah, I'd like to use 50-50, please.
If Opal goes, I'm going to feel about this small. Okay, computer, could you take away 2 wrong answers, please?
Okay. So Opal is there, but so is the other answer that we didn't really talk about. I think this is a bit too niche for either of my phone or friends to really know about. I think there's an element of taking a little bit of a risk at this point, so I think I'm going to go for Opal, final answer.
That was a sudden. Well, you lose 15,000 if you're wrong on this. I have to ask the computer to reveal the answer because I've helped you, well, haven't, but tried to. So computer, could you do that now, please? There it is.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Good. Now, you're down to 1.
I will be setting my safety net, please.
You will be at £64,000. Okay, computer, could you do that, please? Of course, we've got to get you there. And this is the question. Which of these literary characters appeared in more than one book by their creator? You are, of course, a librarian, so. Anna Karenina, Little Nell, Catherine Earnshaw, or Joe March?
So Little Women is one of my favourite films and books, actually. And Joe March is a character in Little Women, which is also a character in Little Men, which is the follow-up book to that. So I'm going to say Joe March, final answer.
You just reached your safety net of £64,000. Exciting, because that means you get a free shot at 125,000. The minimum you're going away with is £64,000. All right, well, look, let's have a look at this question, shall we? This is great. I'm loving this. Really hope you get it. Hope it's up on screen. This is for £125,000. The famous film quote, "I'm having an old friend for dinner," was first screened in the same year as which of these other iconic lines? Show me the money, Royale with cheese, Hasta la vista, baby, and wax on, wax off.
I'm not a massive film fan, to be honest, and I recognise A and C and which films they're from, but I don't really recognise the one in the question, so I can't then try and work out. So I know I get a free shot, but I might as well ring one of my phone of friends to see if they have any knowledge on it.
And who are we calling?
Fran.
Fran. Okay, can we call Fran, please? It's a tricky one, this one, because...
Please don't say how much it's for.
It's just that it's a very long thing to read out. And B,
I know, but
there's a lot of thinking. What date is that? What film's that from? You know, you have to read.
Hello.
Hello, Fran.
That's me. You're right, Jeremy.
Oh, no, I'm not on the gas board. I'm just ringing up to make sure you've not got any leaks. No, you're right.
No.
No, it is. You're right. Yes. Jeremy from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I just check?
Round one.
Our office.
Ready, go!
That works, okay. Second, I'll hand it over to you. You've got 30 seconds to read out that very long question and the 4 possible answers, leaving enough time for friends to have a think, okay? Ready? Your time starts.
The film quote, I'm having a whole thing for dinner, was first screened in the same year as Which of These Other Lives. Show Me the Money, Royale with Cheese, Hasta la Vista Baby, Wax On, Wax Off.
Knockout!
I don't know.
Round two. Ready, go!
Okay, so that actually helps because I'm fairly confident that Silence of the Lambs is 1979, which then gives me a little bit to work with. 70s maybe.
Knockout!
Maybe rule out C.
Round three. Ready, go!
I'm gonna go for A, final answer.
I'm afraid that is the wrong answer. I'm afraid.
Knockout!
Hasta la vista was the right answer. Terminator.
Round four. Ready, go!
Slightly out. Silence of the Lambs, which is it? And Terminator 2 were both 99. Show Me the Money, John McGuire, 96. Royale Cheese. Those was Pulp Fiction.
Knockout!
4 Wax On, The Karate Kid, 84. You are still leaving here with £60,000. That is a lot of money. And you've been a wonderful contestant, you really have. Ladies and gentlemen, Maria King, well done, thank you. Yeah, no, you're all free and clear. Go spend it. Okay, here's my final question. Would you like to see more Who Wants to Be a Millionaire videos? Then click subscribe and you're guaranteed to win. Yeah! Granted, it's not £1 million, but it could be worse.
This'll hurt you more than it hurts me.
Round one. Ready, go!
Yes!
This weekend, we've got some truly amazing feats of strength and endurance for you. It's the world's strongest man finals on Saturday and Sunday at 11. Only on Channel.
Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go!
My time is here.
Excellent! Round four. Ready, go! Knockout!
I want a serious fight.
first foray into the magical world of the extended RAM cartridge with the mech fighting extravaganza Cyberbots Full Metal Madness.
Just focus on your enemy.
Into a huge mech to wreak havoc upon your foes.
Round one. Ready, go!
And the backdrops. Each special attack looks phenomenal. Every battle features loads of environment damage thanks to the lumbering giant's efforts. It's a real shame this one remained locked in Japan because it's so different from the other fighters Capcom was doing at the time. It was one of their rare efforts that didn't feel like a Street Fighter clone, and it absolutely destroys the PlayStation release. There is also a big box limited edition of this that comes with an art book that has a pop-out scene from the game built into it. My runner-up itself could fall into a few different categories, but Dark Savior is quite the unique experience on the Saturn either way. Basically, it takes an isometric that put the two games together into one definitive package. My favorite in this category was Cotton 2, however. This was made to take advantage of the Saturn's hardware top to bottom. The original arcade was released on the STV Titan board, and man is it a looker. Scaling and rotation effects everywhere. BDP2 layers and transparencies fill the screen as far as the eye can see, and all those beautifully animated sprites. It's one of those two-dimensional games that makes you fully realize just how underused the Saturn was for the things it could actually do well. The gameplay is pretty straightforward Cotton if you're familiar with the series. There is an added melee style attack where you can grab enemies and use them as weapons for additional score bonuses. Cotton Boomerang is sort of a remix that could be traded in for it, but either way, it's a beautiful title, well worth playing. March of 1997 would bring with it Capcom's first foray into the magical world of the extended RAM cartridge, with the mech fighting extravaganza Cyberbots Full Metal Madness. If you have ever wanted to climb into a huge mech to wreak havoc upon your foes, this is the game you want. Thanks to the additional RAM, you get great animation here across both the characters and the backdrops. Each special attack looks phenomenal, and every battle features loads of environment damage thanks to the lumbering giant's efforts. It's a real shame this one remained locked in Japan because it's so different from the other fighters Capcom was doing at the time. It was one of their rare efforts that didn't feel like a Street Fighter clone, and it absolutely destroys the PlayStation release. There is also a big box limited edition of this that comes with an art book that has a pop-out scene from the game built into it. My runner-up itself could fall into a few different categories, but Dark Savior is quite the unique experience on the Saturn either way. Basically, it takes an isometric action platformer and melds it with a one-on-one fighter with a multipath story. If that sounds interesting to you, I really do recommend you give it a try. The 3D environments look great, it has a memorable soundtrack, and the replay value is off the charts thanks to the way the story can segment into multiple different endings. It has its issues to be sure, but I still consider it a Saturn must-play. From someone that imported it day one for my Saturn, it was an incredible experience. I loved its gameplay point blank. It was fast, and while that frame rate was a bit funky, it was 100% consistent and never changed. The polygon draw-in was closer than I would have liked, but comparatively to other racing games at the time, the graphics were phenomenal. You'll hear everyone regurgitate the same opinion that Ridge Racer looked better to everyone. But how many other racing games in April of 1995 looked better than this? Despite its downgrade, Daytona on the Saturn was still a very decent game visually at the time, and it would take another year before we would see polygon racing games that consistently were its superior.
Round one.
Particularly on the
Ready,
Saturn itself.
go!
Another thing that no one ever mentioned about old Daytona. The Saturn had to put up to 40 cars on the track at the same time in order to replicate the arcade faith. The PlayStation version of Virtua was presented as a proof that it was better and easier to program for. I said
knockout.
USA was a difficult transition all the way around.
Round two.
Trackside details,
Ready, go!
Far more cars on the track than Daytona. Cars took damage in Daytona that the arcade AI Daytona USA was an infinitely more difficult game to translate before the hardware translation was even to be considered.
Knockout!
The original fighter on the Saturn is Dead or Alive by Tech Mode. I picked this one
Round
up at its
3.
release and really enjoyed
Ready,
it. The counter
go!
Virtua Fighter 2 is nice. Of course, many people today remember the large bouncing breast. So much more than that. So much more than track and field games always held a special place with me because of their incredible competition. The Castle was internally developed by
Knockout!
Saturn's high-res mode, blistering covers various events, the 100-meter dash, long jump, and javelin throw. 10 events in total. Gameplay is mostly centered on finger speed and timing, rewarding those that have the best hand-eye coordination. An event like the 100-meter dash is simple button mashing, while something like the javelin throw takes quite a bit of timing. My friends and I played this to death when it hit the Saturn in the summer of 1996, constantly challenging one another's world records and entering our names into their save files. It was infuriating to have a friend's initials sitting in your records, especially at the top, motivating you to spend hours to remove them. This kind of competitive play really drives Decathlete's appeal, so if you have a buddy to play with, you simply cannot go wrong with a game of this caliber. It's called Athlete Kings in the PAL regions, and the Japanese version features an additional character that was removed because he was considered racially insensitive. There's also a Japanese X-Band edition available as well. When it comes to survival horror, Resident Evil commands the lion's share of the attention. But in 1998, Sega actually took a stab at the genre with Deep Fear, an action-adventure title that was directly inspired by Capcom's masterpiece. Our story begins when an unidentified object crash lands in the ocean. The submarine Sea Fox goes to investigate, but upon recovery, it crashes into an underwater refueling facility. That's where you come in. You are dispatched on a rescue mission, but soon learn that the Sea Fox has picked up some unwanted passengers. Soon you are fighting for your life against creatures infesting the entire rig. Most of the gameplay is very similar to Resident Evil, right down to the tank-style control. Up moves you forward and down causes you to retreat. You know how it works with these types of games. Unlike Capcom's classic, however, you can draw your weapon and keep moving, either to advance on your enemy or put some distance between the two of you. But what really separates this from the other games is the fact that the environment is by far your greatest enemy. There are rooms with no air, rooms with poison gases, and you must contend with both a life bar and oxygen meter the entire game. This adds an element of stress that cannot be overstated. You are literally running for your life, not just from monsters, but from the very room that you are in at the time. The only real blemish on this one is that it does suffer from some awful voice acting. I mean, what's here makes the stuff in Resident Evil seem Oscar-worthy. It was never officially released in the United States, but there is a finished version of it if you know where to look. Unfortunately, the beat-em-up genre saw a steep loss in popularity around this time. What had been so popular on the Genesis was reduced to a few scant releases on the Saturn. Lucky for us, we did get the runner-up Die Hard Arcade, a very loose adaptation of the hit film. You and a partner hit the Nakatomi building in an effort to rescue the president's daughter. Gameplay is essentially small arenas where you beat down bad guys and move on. Sometimes these are connected by QuickTime events where you can score a quick knockout, but if you miss, it usually means more enemies to face. The visuals were solid and the two-player mode was a blast. That leaves our winner of Best Overall Game on the Saturn as Dragon Force. It's hard to pin a genre on Dragon Force. It's part RPG, part strategy, and part simulator. But even then, it doesn't quite describe exactly what this game is. At first, it seems incredibly complicated, but it's anything but. It's so incredibly simple. Form an army, attack castles, and that's pretty much it. The actual battles play out as armies clashing on the field, but the only control you have is over your formation commands and your general special attacks. But it's here where Dragon Force shines. What seems at first to be minimal control actually hides a deep and well put together battle system. Your formations mean everything because your troops will meet other armies that have tactical advantages over you. That means your strategies and special attacks will need to be on point to turn the tide. There are also numerous leaders to choose from at the start, with different characters, resources, and different places on the map. This adds to the challenge incredibly. But the most important part is that you control everything. You want to run roughshod over the AI and conquer the map in no time? Load up with dragon troops, and that's possible. Want to challenge yourself and make every battle a satisfying tactical victory? Choose a weaker troop type and play it that way. It's all up to you. On top of the great gameplay, Dragon Force also has a nice soundtrack and some pretty incredible two-dimensional visuals. It supports 202 characters on the screen at once, making for explosive battles that look like something no other console could have pulled off at the time. Frankly, not only do I consider it the best Saturn game, it's one of the best games of that era, period. Dragon Force is one of my favorite games of all time. I really enjoyed the sequel here as well. This one changes up things quite a bit, including the ability to mix unit types and challenge caves to test your skill. You still get the 100 versus 100 battles, and the story is directly connected to the previous events in Part 1. The only thing I really didn't like is that it's a bit more linear than the original, and I didn't find the characters nearly as likable. Otherwise, it's a great strategy game, and now that it has an English translation, many more of you can play it. Back when Saturn was first released, the first-person shooter was still in its infancy. How we got such a great port of Duke Nukem 3D is still beyond me, but it's my runner-up for this category. The magicians at Lobotomy Software managed to completely redo the original engine in 3D for the Saturn, and while it did change the feel of things, I still really enjoyed it. I mean, you never would have guessed the Saturn was capable of this until you saw it for yourself. It even has unique light sourcing that looks really nice. In March of 1999, Capcom delivered Saturn owners one of its best software packages, the unbelievable Dungeons & Dragons collection. It contains both of Capcom's D&D-based beat-em-ups from the arcade. The first is Tower of Doom, which was actually originally planned to be released in 1996 as a standalone product. It does not use the 4MB extended RAM cartridge, but still manages to be a strong port with excellent animation and color throughout. Choose one of 4 classes and go to work on the many enemies you'll face. There are multiple paths to take, many items to collect and use, and it all can be done in 2-player co-op. The second game is the more refined and impressive of the available offerings. Shadow over Mystara uses the 4MB extended RAM cartridge to bring us as close to the arcade as possible. More characters, more animation, more details, and more of what made the first game so much fun. You get more classes to choose from too, sending replay value through the roof. If you have a friend to join you, this can be one of the most enjoyable experiences on the platform, and one you can replay many times. It's challenging too, and not something you are likely to beat after a couple of tries. If all that sounds perfect, that's because it's pretty close, but I'd be lying to you if I said it was. Load times are frequent and long, even with the RAM cart, and do become tiresome after extended gameplay sessions. You also lose the 4-player co-op of the arcade version, down to 2 for both games in this collection. Newer versions of these games fix that, so you can have these experiences elsewhere cheaper and better playing. For a 5th generation title, however, it's a blast and one Saturn owners were lucky to get. Another Taito F3 system release, Elevator Action Returns, came to us in 1994 as a sequel to the original arcade classic. It expands on that formula quite a bit, now with much bigger stages, far more enemies, and a much more impressive graphics engine. Like the previous Taito release, the 1997 Saturn port was nothing short of extraordinary. All of the great animation is here, as are the scaling effects, giant explosions, and tons of enemies. The gameplay is accurate as well, with no slowdown or hiccups to ruin the pace of the action. The Saturn release was the only version you could play at home at the time, adding some exclusivity appeal to what many of you may have missed back then. You have multiple characters to choose from with different stats and different kinds of weapons to employ. Add in a second player and you have one of the most enjoyable co-op action titles of its type. I can't stress enough just how well this turned out, and highly recommend you give it a look if you've never played it before. When it comes to arcade perfection, this one sits atop the throne as one of the best. In late 1996, Warp would release the Sega Saturn exclusive, Enemy Zero. You are awakened aboard your space vessel by an emergency, only to watch one of your crewmates be eviscerated by an unseen foe. You quickly get dressed and start your detective work to try and see just what the hell is going on. Taking elements from Warp's prior work, D, they would mix real-time gameplay with full-motion video to bring you one of the most unique games on the system. Many of the game's areas would be pre-rendered, allowing you to explore and find items in cinematic style. Exiting these areas would put you in a real-time segment that allowed you to walk and run freely and explore. These real-time segments were also where the game's enemies would stalk you, invisible beasts that you can only track by sound. You have the ability to fight these enemies, but in true survival horror style, it behooves you to avoid conflict and try and get to the next area intact, as death comes swift in Enemy Zero. Graphically, this one is held up much better than D, with vastly superior full-motion video sequences and real-time gameplay to break up the more cinematic areas. Enemy Zero has been going up in price the last few years, commanding nearly $100 at times. The far cheaper import version is playable, but you will need a walkthrough to help you understand the story and some of what's going on in the cinemas and video calls. Enemy Zero isn't the best horror game out there, but give it some time to grow on you, and I'm sure you'll find it as playable as I did. Our last game is the Sega-made F1 Challenge, released in late 1995 in Japan as F1 Live Information. In the absence of a port of the Model 2 masterpiece Indy 500, this is as close as we'd get to that game. And for an early Saturn racing game, it's damn solid too. This was released in Japan just 7 months after Daytona USA, and sports a superior graphics engine in every single way. It's smoother, has less obvious polygon draw-in, and vastly superior texture quality. The gameplay is really good too. Custom control over things like the aerodynamics of your car and the types of tires you use. The rear view mirror helps.
It's showtime! Round one.
And the alternate
Ready,
soundtrack in the Western
go!
version is quite solid. There are licensed racers and track sims who give you a more authentic experience, and the arcade-style gameplay is easy to come to terms with and perform well. You'll need to put in some effort to be number one though, with pit stops and car tuning playing a big role in your success. Racing game conversions are often dominated by the likes of Sega Rally, Wipeout, and Need for Speed for the Saturn, but F1 Challenge here is more than up to the task of being a worthy addition to your library. But no 3D fighter on the Saturn had what our winner had, pure Sega magic. Fighters Mega Mix was the game they should have launched with the Saturn, a great mix of fighters from multiple Sega universes.